answer some of the questions that you may have. First of all, good morning and welcome, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Madam Najuma and Comrade Asiimwe, the General Secretary of Uganda Cooperative Alliance. Our viewers, I want to welcome you to UBC. And I think I'm not welcoming you because I'm not the host, but maybe to attest your preference for UBC and the prominent programs that have transformed society. Like she mentioned, tomorrow is a very big day. We are commemorating International Labour Day. Ours, of course, is normally advocacy for good working conditions, labour laws, and whatever. But I think it's no longer advocacy, but we normally do dialogue.
Yes.
And ensure that at least under the tripartite arrangement, we are looking at the government, employer, and employees. So my appeal is normally that in the world of work, we should ensure that we have collective bargaining and ensure that at least we recognize workers. And when we do that, I think we are going to have industrial harmony, increase the productivity. That's what most of the economies have actually envisaged, and they are doing that. When you look at the Asian tigers, they are doing quite well. And I think so far so good. We're on course. We are trying to ensure that we handle a few disparities that are available and ensure that at least we are good to go. What is important now is to ensure that we do competence profiling, ensure that the performance appraisals are handled, and ensure that at least we now handle aspects of inflation. Then I think we are good to go as a workforce in the country.
Okay.
Yes.
And that is Honorable Byakatonda, who is the workers' representative. So if you're just joining us, we are just getting started. I'm sure this conversation is going to be enlightening, educative, and also encouraging. Now, the other gentleman, like I mentioned, the other gentleman is CPA Ivan Asiimwe. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Madam Najuma. And I'm really very happy to be here. And I want to appreciate UBC for this opportunity. All our viewers, good morning, and I want to thank you because they are always there. In fact, the Ugandan is telling me every Wednesday now, every Wednesday 8 to 9, they are watching because they are following. They really love cooperatives. And like Honorable Byakatonda has mentioned, tomorrow we have a very big day where we will be celebrating the International Labour Day. And I want to really wish all Ugandans and all people globally a very happy day and even celebrations. But this one should now be a lesson to us as Ugandans, that how do we position the cooperatives to create jobs and employment in the country in order to contribute to employment globally. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I will start with you, Honorable. One of the biggest hurdles of job seekers in Uganda is the lack of skills training. So do you think cooperatives can play a larger role in providing vocational training and skills development for workers? And if so, how?
Thank you very much, Monica. I think cooperatives are a vehicle for prosperity. And of course, based on the democratic principle of governance, cooperatives are very key. You see, we are trying to say cooperatives will pull resources together and ensure that at least they bring on board all the members. And of course, they are self-sustaining and autonomous bodies. So what cooperatives can do is that, one, they are very key in ensuring that at least they provide skills. For example, we're not talking of NDP4. And NDP4, the president, as per his vision, is talking of actually growing our economy tenfold, from $50 billion to $500 billion. All these are now envisaging issues like agro-processing, industrialization. We are talking about issues of tourism. We are talking about ICT, and we are talking about all these four semantic areas are very key. So how do we finish? You know, he came up with the vision of PDM. PDM per se, as you know, by the time PDM came, we had less than about 9,000 cooperatives, so call them circles. But now as we talk, we are in the thousands. I think we are
Over 30,000.
Over 30,000. Actually, by now, I think if they take a statistics, about 50. That means now the economy, the engagement of cooperatives is very important. For example, we're enhancing production. And now the aspect of agro-processing should actually come on board. So by doing this, it means we are looking at a simple narrative where we talk of SQMT, standardization, quality assurance, measurement, and testing, so that our products can now hit the market. And I think what we can achieve in this through the skilling, it means now we are going to provide skills across the production chain, value chain. So cooperatives are a very big vehicle, not only in production, but even when we talk of transportation. In other economies, I think that started, you find that when we talk of transportation, it's cooperatives. So we want to look at an opportunity where across the production value chain, for example, we are talking of about 19 enterprises. We talk about fisheries, fishing, we fish, we talk about avocado, we talk about a number of things. And then at the end of the day, we need now, cooperatives should actually mobilize their members, so that at least now they engage in production using the relevant skills.
Yes.
And I want to thank Uganda Cooperative Alliance because they have actually traversed the country and managed to provide trainings. So far so good, it's doing well. And I think I must say, they say the sky is the limit, but I think it's more than the sky.
There is something beyond the sky.
There's something beyond the sky.
Yes.
I want to thank Asiimwe, not because he's here, but I have had an opportunity to attend most of the meetings in the countryside, where I was really seen it fits in the vision of His Excellency the President. You see, when the programs are starting, I want to implore upon Ugandans. We must actually build synergies and come together as a country. That's what we call patriotism, according to me. Because if you don't do that, then it means we cannot actually move. And His Excellency now, his call is that we should stop exporting raw materials. I think you even said the other day that over is dead body. This is very important. Not because, actually I'm independent, not because I'm NRM leaning, but I think this is objectively the right decision that is taking. And when we do that, I think it will be important. So cooperatives are, in terms of skilling, a very important vehicle. Cooperatives in terms of production, a very important vehicle. And then of course now, we are now talking of market access. Market access is very important because now under PDM, people are now producing. So we need now to see if they have taken on the 3 enterprises, at least maybe they are talking about coffee. Now we can now engage as entities with, of course, the skilling. We want them to bring on issues of governance, financial literacy. These are very core skills. Because we normally tell them, why do you form a cooperative and does it actually celebrate his first birthday? And yesterday I was in Hoima. I came from Hoima this morning. It is I'm on PAC, local government, Public Accounts Committee, and we are meeting entities. So we see that this is now, we need to be proactive and ensure that at least PDM is not a ratio, because some people Mr. Asiimwe will agree with me. Some of them are saying it was a handshake. It's not a handshake, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ugandans.
Yes.
This is money that should actually help you to grow. Yeah? You have talked about the fortunes in the Bible, where 3 people were given money. Another one said, my master, I dug a hole and kept it there. Another one said, my master, I've actually multiplied it. Then another one was saying, I've also tried it, but actually it's later. Then they said, yeah, the best. I think this under that spiritual paradigm, I think we should actually urge Ugandans to move and ensure that we do the best. Because we find that literally the problem has been high interest rates have been bogging down, and of course coupled with the collateral. So if people can really agree and really get a revelation and ensure that at least they move in that strategic direction, Uganda is good to go. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable. Now, speaking about PDM, I love that you have brought it up, because yesterday I was talking to someone from the Workers' Union, and he also did express the same sentiments, that many people think that the parish development model funds are a token of appreciation. Some of them believe it's a token of appreciation for supporting the government in one way or another. But let's talk about the fact that maybe some people don't understand that this money needs to be paid back. Is this money supposed to be paid back?
Yes, this is, thank you, Monica. This is a revolving fund. and should actually be paid, and then it grows. Because we are talking of 100 million per parish every financial year. That means within 5 years, the parish should have 500 million. And basically, this small interest is basically for administrative handling, but the money should remain within the community and actually grow. So this is very important. When we change our people's mindsets, it will help. Because, of course, mindset is very key. Capacity building is powerful, but action is everything. If people build the capacities of the people and they take action, that will actually help. You see, now, I normally make comparisons. Somebody is a banker manager, and you find a primary teacher. But in terms of salaries take home, you find that a primary teacher who has a positive mindset will actually grow using the smaller income they have. So likewise in the PDM, you find that this small pancake seller in the informal sector, who is actually serious with a positive mindset, will actually grow and even educate children. So this PDM money is really a very good gesture. And I think I want to thank the President for this vision. This should actually, when well utilized, can help grow. And we are looking at now growth because if, for example, SAC has 30 members, and most of them are getting, then at the end of the day, with every financial years, they are getting a few. At the end of the day, it can actually grow. Of course, they are mobilizing their savings as well, and then this is just an external input which is coming into the membership. So I think what is important now, if one is producing, another one should actually do marketing. Then at the end of the day, we should be able to continue. And of course, the guidelines are very clear. They will continue engaging and recruiting more members. At the end of the day, you find that if they are making some profits out of the enterprise they have selected, then at the end of the day, they should be able to look at maybe a component on transport. They should be able to look at a component on production. That's what we talk about agro-processing. Why can't you, for example, look at maybe a simple hatchery of 2 million shillings and you start actually hatching eggs? Then your members are now buying from you. Then at the end of the day, we should now consider market access. So this PDM is very important, and I think people should start playing with it. Imagine that it's a handshake. But even when it's a handshake, must you abuse it?
You could actually put it to good use and enrich yourself.
Yes, Monica, I've ever seen people who have gone for a lottery. Somebody maybe has gone for a lottery and he has picked maybe 200 million. It doesn't mean you should actually put it to waste. I've seen that mindset problem where, for example, certain roads have been constructed and people have been compensated. You find a beneficiary X who picks his 60 million and puts on a border, goes drinking, at the end of the day, he has lost the money. And
he has no place to stay.
He has no place to stay. So it is the same scenario refers to PDM. You know, there's a saying that opportunity is a very funny thing. It is very ugly. It puts on an overall. And when you see it, you will think it's a Shamba boy. By the time you realize it was opportunity, when
it's already gone.
Already late.
And they say it knocks once.
Yes, this PDM is a very good opportunity because now you are trying to put an impression that you are not trustworthy. And yet more opportunities are coming. You know, I've been around for some time. In the early 90s, we had what we called the Tandikwa. And I was a member of the Focal Point Committee. Actually, we started with what we call the Rural Farmers Scheme under the CNRM government. It was still a vision of the president. He used to give people agricultural input. For example, give you a plow, give you oxen. But at the end of the day, people could even sell them on the way as they were going home. So, but if those people who are persisted, I think, are billionaires now. Then it became what we call the Tandikwa. And Tandikwa was the same thing, and I think for it was actually based at the county level. You could have a steering committee, give money to people. People actually wasted the money. So I think, likewise, now you look at Amioga, now this PDM, and very many opportunities. If Ugandans had a positive mindset, by now I think it would be elsewhere. I can give you a scenario of the Asian Tigers. Asian Tigers in 1987, there was what we call the economic depression. They had fallen down. Things were not working out. But I think what the difference is that for them, what they did, they took on very key enterprises. Some of them formed the women circles like that we are doing now. And I think by 1962, but 1987 now, I think they are donors.
Well, thank you so much,
yes,
Honorable.
yes.
Mr. Asiimwe, coming back to you, and a follow-up question on the skills training that the Honorable did deliberate on. Now, when we look at Uganda Cooperative Alliance, you've been very instrumental in supporting cooperative initiatives. What programs or strategies is UCA currently implementing to help cooperatives create sustainable jobs, especially for the youth and women?
Oh, thank you so much, moderator. And you know, before I even come to your question, I want to begin. You mentioned something very important. Uganda exporting products in raw form. Are we aware that we are donating jobs to outsiders? Take an example, you export coffee in raw form. It goes to Europe. How many jobs have you created the other side? And how many jobs have you denied Ugandans? So this is why we are here, in ensuring that we really educate the people that actually it is us to create jobs for ourselves, not expecting jobs to come from heaven.
Yes.
God did his part and finished. It's upon me and you to make sure that we create jobs here. And the cooperatives do it better. Take an example. If you had a coffee for a cooperative, for example, which completes the value chain from production up to marketing. An example is Ankole Coffee Producers Cooperative Union in Shema. If you went there during the harvesting season, you can't imagine, the moderator, how many people are employed there. There is a time when I went to the factory and I found over 500 people seated handling the value chain. There is sorting, there is grading, there is packing, there is transportation. A lot of jobs are created. So this is what we are looking at. Now, if we are really going into the garden, from the garden, you aggregate, you add value, and you market a finished product, you create a lot of jobs in this country. And this is what we are saying. Look at circles, for example. See how many people are employed in circles today. Personally, I started as a cashier of a circle in 2003, and here I am still in employment because of cooperatives. So how many people are employed? So if cooperatives were not there, actually we would be seeing so many people unemployed. He has mentioned about PDM. PDM is a very good and fantastic program for this country. However, people still think otherwise. But it is upon me and you to really educate the people. And now this comes to the role of UCA.
Yes.
What are we doing? Now, like he has mentioned, PDM is not free money. It's a revolving fund. Get the money, Monica get the money, use it, pay back. Ivan, you get it, use it, pay back. Honorable Byakatonda, and it continues as a cycle. Within 5 years, at least everyone has gotten money within the parish for economic purposes. This is what we are looking at. So it's not free money. However, we need, me and you, we need now to sensitize the public. And this is why UBC has contributed greatly to this. You know, I wish other televisions were doing what UBC is doing. Because you find a whole hour wasted just on music. And which music? You can't imagine. Why don't we use...
Entertainment is good for the soul.
I tell you, entertainment is good, but you must have programs that are geared towards developing your country. So you see, when we are here, the whole world is watching.
Yes.
And they are listening. They are learning. You know, people need to learn. Like he has mentioned, some people are not yet aware that there is money going to the parishes, and they don't know how to access this money. People are not aware that cooperatives are there to help them. Some of them are still asking, how do I join a cooperative? Do I qualify to be a member of a cooperative? Such things. So what we are doing as UCA, number one, is community awareness and sensitization. Make sure the community is aware. Are we aware that globally cooperatives employ more than 10% of the population? And currently we have 8.2 billion people globally. So if you are talking about 10%, that means over 8 million people globally are employed in cooperatives. If you came to Europe alone has created 4.7 million jobs to their people. And who is donating these jobs? We are the ones. Because now if we export our products in raw form, you export cotton, it goes the other side, you will have created jobs in Europe. And you will have denied Africans jobs. So this is why we need cooperatives. I will give an example, just like Friesland Campina, which is in Netherlands. It is employing thousands of people. It is a dairy cooperative. Talk about Rabobank Foundation, which is a cooperative, is employing thousands of people. So these are jobs created by cooperatives. You come to our neighbors here in Kenya. Kenya alone is employing over 500 people in cooperatives. Are you seeing? Now, a study done in Uganda here by Ministry of Trade last year, accordingly, cooperatives employ around 16% of Ugandans. But still, we want to reach 50% because most of the people are unemployed. But why are we unemployed? We have not yet really gotten the idea of cooperatives. Take an example of the young engineers. I'm happy the Honorable Byakatonda, who is in charge of workers, is here. And we are working together to support all workers across the country to form and manage cooperatives. Very soon we shall invite you, Monica, when we are training them here in Kampala. We want to train all of them. Why? We need to contribute towards the socio-economic transformation of the country using the cooperative model. So UCA does community awareness and mobilization. Number two, we do skilling. We skill people. Like he has mentioned, the other week I was in Acholi sub-region, meeting the cooperative unions and primary societies. Monica, these are people with a lot of resources. They have a lot of land. You find a union with over 7,000 acres of land. A lot of land. But the land is just idle. They have cotton ginaries, they have rice, maize mills, they have too much, but the assets are not utilized. So what do we do? Skill the leadership, skill the management staff to be able to take advantage of the opportunities and then be able to move forward. Skilling the youth and women is also very critical because Uganda has majority of the people here are the young people. So how do you skill them? Give them the knowledge for them to take advantage of the available resources. There is usually a problem here when you talk about agriculture, because Uganda is an agro-based economy. When you talk about agriculture, Monica, today, if I told you, can we join agriculture? What comes into your mind is going to the garden. You say, me, I'm educated, I can't. So people still think that agriculture is about holding a hoe. No, agriculture is beyond that. We are talking about agribusiness. From farming, you go to aggregation, you go to value addition, you go to marketing, the entire value chain. How do we create jobs along the whole chain is very critical. And how do we bring the youth along the value chain? These young people can do very well at aggregation level. Like I've mentioned, Ankole Coffee, during harvesting season, they are transporting, they are sorting, they are packing, so many. They can do a lot on value addition because they are still young and energetic. They can run machines. They can do a lot on marketing. We have a lot of products, but they are not marketed well. So how do we make sure that we create the market? So this is skilling for the young people. Then also, we ensure that we support and strengthen cooperative governance, because governance and management is very critical. So how do we ensure that we strengthen governance and management? So UCA does this. The other issue that we handle is arbitration. Because in the cooperatives, usually there are conflicts because people are many. So how do we do it? We do it in line with the law, because the law, section 142, empowers the board of UCA to carry out arbitration in the case of disputes in the cooperatives. So we do a lot. Then we support also business and strategic planning. It's very critical. Yes, we have people, but they need to be skilled in strategic and business planning. How do you do business? We do not want a situation where you are into something, but you don't know what to do. So we do the skilling to make sure that they have better skills and knowledge in strategic and business planning. So this is what UCA does, because UCA as an umbrella body, we look at all types and forms of cooperatives. And currently, our viewers, in Uganda, we have over 46,000 registered cooperative societies, and the majority of these are circles. So it is a lot that we do. We go to energy cooperatives, we go to housing cooperatives, we have transport cooperatives, agricultural production and marketing, PDM, Emyoga, and I really want to add my voice to Honorable Byakatonda in appreciating the President and the government, because government has really given us support as UCA in ensuring that Ugandans come together, work together. Our viewers, when you talk about cooperatives, cooperatives began with the creation story, the book of Genesis. When God created man and realized that man was alone, he was lonely, he was restless, and he said no, he needed a companion. That is the first theory of cooperatives. Man and woman cooperate and build this world. So we are doing God's work in ensuring that this country and this world becomes a better place for us.
Well, thank you so much. Join the conversation on the role of cooperatives in job creation and employment. I am speaking to Honorable Byakatonda, who is the workers' representative, but also I'm speaking to Ivan Asiimwe, who is the General Secretary, Uganda Cooperative Alliance Limited. We are delving deeper into some of the conversations that will be shared even tomorrow, as tomorrow is International Labour Day, and Uganda will be joining the rest of the world to commemorate the day and the efforts that have been put in place to enrich workers across the world, and most importantly, workers within Uganda. Now, you can join our conversation. The number is on your screen. It is 0709-602-592. If you have questions for the Honorable, who has expertise dealing with workers' issues, please send them through. But if you have questions on cooperatives, on SACCOs, to Mr. Ivan Asiimwe, also send those through. Now, Honorable, coming back to you, workers often face challenges like job insecurity and low wages. The question about minimum wage has been asked several times. How do you see cooperatives addressing these issues, and can you share any specific examples where cooperatives have improved working conditions for Ugandan workers?
Thank you very much, Monica, and our viewers. Cooperatives are actually a cornerstone for development of any economy. And I want to mention that we have had a number of challenges, but I think we are now getting on board. And I think with this invention of the PDM, we are seeing prospects. Recently, of course, the number of challenges, for example, the wars and the like. Recently, the government actually gave 160 billion to compensate cooperatives. But I think because of lack of capacity building and attitudes, so most of that money was not actually properly utilized. And of course now, that's why you see that the role of UCA is very important. And I want to urge us as government and a number of institutions to embrace cooperatives. I wish UCA would have capacity to reach everywhere, but I think the capacity is developed over time. So far so good. I think I had a challenge to explain what is UCA. Some people were saying it's a private company. They didn't know it was established by an act of parliament way back in 1961. And I think we shall look at the aspects where we needed to amend in that law, so that at least they become trendy and play center stage in this. I want to thank the Minister of Trade, because even I'm a member of the Committee on Trade. I did not actually know very much until recently when we came together and interfaced with UCA, and I think so far so good. So what I want to mention is that cooperatives are very vital. For example, they are going to put resources together. They are going, and the people have started. In terms of market access, it's very important, enhance productivity. And of course now, why it is important, you find that now, for example, in terms of interests, they are helping people, their members. In terms of collateral, because these are people who know, within their governance, they now know their members. They can actually give them money without collateral. So this has actually stimulated the growth, and we feel it will be actually to do more. In my case, I can make reference. When I came in 2021, I gave virtually all the unions money to register cooperatives. Some of them did that, and I'm still continuing to do so. That's why when UCA, the General Secretary here, the Chief Accounting Officer, Mr. Asiimwe, out of his immediate resources, when he says he's going to volunteer and actually come up with a training under that cooperation, it's very important. This will help us because under ILO globally, cooperatives are envisaged under recommendation 193. And I want to encourage even workers at UBC, you should have your own cooperative. You see, when you look at institutions like Uzalendo, I think they came together and they pulled the resources. When you look at institutions like Walimu, and here I want to thank His Excellency the President. He gave them, he pledged 25 billion and he has so far given, I think, over 20. They are remaining with a little, which is also being earmarked to be given. Then recently also gave some city circles, at least 5 billion, but we are even appealing that maybe across all sectors. So even UBC.
So this money the president, sorry to cut you short,
Yes.
This money the president is giving to these circles, is it to act as, there is a name for it in Bank of Uganda?
Revolving fund.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the revolving fund.
All right.
To help actually workers in certain sectors grow. Because you see, salary, they will tell you an MP gets a lot of money, but where is it? Salary is not enough. So you need to diversify. I want to look at Monica. During her free time, she's rearing her chicken. She's looking at maybe a small enterprise, maybe of pancakes or cakes. She's maybe having an events management where she's actually maybe hiring out tents. So such that at least by the time you get this small thing called salary, you have other subsidiaries that are actually coming on board. So that's what we are envisaging. And I want to, this Labor Day, part of the takeaways is as workers, let's actually organize ourselves in the cooperatives. Let's organize ourselves in circles, and let's select enterprises. And you see, we normally fight in the churches and mosques that want to go to heaven. But how do you think you will go to heaven when they have given you this PDM manna and they have eaten it with impunity?
The talents, the parable of the talents.
So I think, we fight, but other things will take us, will fail us to go to heaven. So I want to urge Ugandans, let's change our mindset. Let's work together. Because now, Monica, what we must now list the viewers, we are now headed, there are trends, global trends. We are now headed for what we call artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence means now, you find like in Uganda, people are doing work without contracts. They are agents of Amazon, agents of Google in the country. Actually, these are part of the casual things that we are doing. But now, what will survive, people will survive are those people with relevant skills. People will survive are those people who have actually innovations. For example, they're innovating as a cooperative. For example, they are saying IA is destined to bring increased productivity through data manipulation and the like. But now you'll find that it is also coupled with loss of jobs. For example, in South Korea, alongside these elderly homes, it is actually you find that they are using most artificial intelligence, where robots are actually taking center stage and a number of things. But what Ugandans must know, these things don't have empathy. And it is based on this that I'm trying to introduce a private members bill, Mr. Asiimwe, to ensure that at least we mitigate. Because without a legal framework, we are likely to have a lot of challenges, and loss of jobs is one of the imminent issues. But of course, when you at the neighborhood economy here, you find out how taxi drivers are using logarithms. And you had one time the drivers were complaining. So these are trends that we need to moderate. But of course, the key way is through innovation. Innovation can only come when we join cooperatives, which are Lego vehicles, and to help us really make a lot of progress. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Honorable Byakatonda. I'm speaking to Honorable Byakatonda and CPA Ivan Asiimwe. And today, Honorable Byakatonda is the workers' representative in Parliament. Now, today we are delving into a conversation on the role of cooperatives in job creation and employment. This is on the heels, actually a precursor to the events that are happening tomorrow, a day that recognizes workers in Uganda and across the world. That is International Labour Day. And I love where the Honorable started from when we were beginning this conversation. He did say that now we are not doing advocacy, but rather we are having dialogue. For example, we have the question of minimum wage for workers. And this question has been asked several times. When we are speaking to the union heads, you ask this question. When we're anything to do with workers, this is a question that comes onto the table. And there is argument now that minimum wage should be set sector by sector, that there should be a minimum wage for, let's say, for us in the media, and then maybe those in manufacturing, in industries, and then house helps, and to mention but a few. And I'm bringing that question to the Honorable.
Yes, yeah.
The question of minimum wage.
Thank you, Monica.
Yes.
I think there is a commitment, because one time a bill in the tennis parliament had been floated, but I think
it was rejected.
It was not. I don't want to say it was rejected, but I think there was a misinterpretation.
Okay.
Where somebody, one of the key stakeholders, imagined that when the minimum wage comes in place, it will scare investors. I want to say that in all economies, we've been told these economies in Africa and this African sub-region, it is working well. And of course, like we said, one time, Monica, you might bear with me witness, one time during the NSSF amendment, where we said the workers had challenges in accessing owing to COVID-19. Some people could even have their house, but they would say, unless you clock 60 years, you cannot actually access your money. We went into dialogue with the government, and His Excellency the President allowed. But I must say, this is now one of the key projects that the government has had, the key laws that the government has had, because now you find that it has even grown. Because what we did, we said there is even voluntary saving, where somebody does not necessarily have to be in an office, or Monica can be saving. The employer is putting the 10%, you're putting the 5%, then you can also say, voluntary, I'm also adding my money there. At the end of the day, then they invest this money, then an interest is also given. So this, in the region now, this is one of the prominent projects that we have had. And people can even now access midterm access. At least 20% who have worked for 10 years and 45 years. People with disabilities who have clocked 40 years can actually access up to 50%. So this has actually even stimulated the growth. And we feel we might even reach 15 million within a period of 5 years, savers in the country.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're saying that because we have achieved this success on
Yes.
midterm access of NSSF
Through dialogue.
Through dialogue,
Yes.
then because right now the minimum wage is at 6,000. That is an amount that was set so many years ago.
About 1963, 61.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Maybe if you may, Honorable, why do we take so long to have reforms? Because if it was an act of 1960 something and we're in 2025, what are usually the hurdles that exist before we can have reforms, important reforms like minimum wage?
What is important is to have teamwork, but political will is the key.
Okay.
But like I said, we are going to make exploits and ensure that we continue with dialogue. It's important, it's long overdue. And I think we have seen the absence of minimum wage is also promoting casualization. And when we get the opportunity, I think we should be able to focus on this and
Yes.
ensure that at least dialogue results into something good. It's ours. That thing is ours as a government, and I think we need to push it and ensure that at least it comes out on board. So there are positive trends. Some employers are generally trying to give. If they are giving maybe like a minimum of 300,000 a month or 200, then we can say let's strike a consensus and say maybe the minimum wage is 200,000, 250. And it's very important because you know it builds the understanding where I are saying, for example, even your housekeeper at home should actually save. Because we are saying even one person is regarded as an employment sector and should actually is entitled to savings. But what are you giving them? Some
because
maids,
factory workers,
yes.
maids, you've gone far.
Yes.
Factory workers earn at least 3,000 shillings a day.
Yes.
30 days, that is 90,000. What can someone do with
and subsistence per
90,000?
day is about 10,000. So I think that is enslavement, which we are trying to
Modern day
modern
enslavement.
day enslavement. It's not even modern; it's actually very traditional. But of course, we shall get there. I think we need to step up on our vigilance, so that we promote dialogue in this area. You know, for me, I normally believe God has planned is for everything, and God's timing is the best. So in case of an opportunity, we are going to focus on this and ensure that it comes to being. All is not lost.
Okay,
Yes.
I have some views. The first one is from Wakabi Charles, who says, Wakabi Charles from Kamuli, Busoga, watching. But why is it that government programs, the new ones, take over the older ones, like let me paraphrase, like the government that is not talking about a Myoga Sacco, okay, he's saying the two gentlemen are not talking about a Myoga Sacco, yet we are here. We need your support. So get away from balancing the both. Thanks. I think his contention is how come right now everything we hear is parish development model?
Yes.
And I think the bigger question here is, does it mean that the other initiatives are now dead and gone, or they are still in existence? Why aren't they being used to help people? This should go to you, Honorable.
Thank you very much. I think you see, there's what we call opportunity cost. Resources are normally the challenge.
Yes.
At times you try to fix this problem, then you have the roads, you have medicine, you have what else and the like. So PDM, I think what was envisaged was to ensure that at least it takes the wider scope of all the beneficiaries, all the segments of society. We are talking about women, we are talking about youth, we are talking about disabilities, we are talking about elderly, we are talking about men. Actually, those are the general ones. For example, it has alluded the percentages. But the other programs are also coming. What is important is that when the resources are available, then you can embark on all of them. For example, Myoga, some beneficiaries I think performed well. Others didn't perform well. We had this livelihood program. I think that one, due to lack of mindset change and capacity building, it has a number of challenges because we find that some of the districts recovery rates are even below 2%. Then UAP, at least women tried to recover some low percentages. But of course, what government envisaged was that if we scatter, we may not actually have a strategic direction in terms of the PDM. The PDM basically is trying to ensure that at least we enhance household incomes right from the household. Okay. When you touch the household, that means all enterprises can actually prosper. Because this is the base key to production. And the countries that have actually developed have targeted the family. Yes. Finland, they don't even look at only the family, but even issues of like the most domestic violence. I think these should be factored in. Because if, for example, a woman who are beneficiaries of 30% of PDM are getting money, but in their household there's domestic violence, then those people will actually migrate. At the end of the day, it is likely to fail the PDM. So all these are facets that should be incorporated into the PDM. So for Wakabi, let him understand that one, of course, some people question, why is PDM looking at the lowest people? Those are the certain 9 threshold that we are talking about. It's not actually looking at that. For example, for me as an individual, when I realized PDM is coming, I started in my nursery. I have my nurseries, I built capacity. So that if the PDM beneficiary is looking for coffee, let him come and visit me. Likewise, if the PDM beneficiary is looking at poultry, put vaccines, get a fridge and put vaccines so that actually come and vaccinate their chicken. If the PDM beneficiary is looking for feeds, you should be able to produce feeds. So you're contributing to the value chain. The value chain. All doing the same thing. And let me tell you, Monica, you'll be even the biggest beneficiary. Because how many beneficiaries in the parish? And it may not even be only a parish, but even you set up, for example, a fish hatchery, they will come and buy fingerlings from you. But of course, there is a tendency of people folding their hands. For us, we are not actually benefited. We are not doing this. No, it is a stimulant, and which is actually providing market. So that means when you start now producing feeds, it means now the maize prices will go up, and all these other ingredients. And then at the end of the day, you'll be stepping up employability.
So do you think, Honorable, that because what I hear about the parish development model does really show that this is a really great initiative to enrich Ugandans from the grassroots. But do you think that probably we still need more and more awareness when it comes to this? Because I see the things, the initiatives that you're mentioning where people could actually invest. Let's say, for instance, in agriculture, and we are all not rearing chicken. There is someone selling the vaccines, there is someone selling the feeds, there is someone rearing the chicken, and at the end of the day, this is an entire value chain.
Yes.
But I have seen some people getting that 1 million and investing it in a retail shop where you look at the shelves in the shop almost empty, and I think they're depending on this to feed the family, to also run the business, and at the end of the day they can't afford to pay back the loan.
Maybe Monica, before Honorable comes in, just to answer Wakabi's question, if you are to look, it's not that we are talking about the new models.
Yes.
But when you look at the parish development model, it's very comprehensive and integrates all the other government programs together, and you come up with a model. Take an example of Pillar 1, which is about production, value addition, aggregation, and marketing. Now compare with the other government programs that have taken place. For example, CAIP, Community Agriculture Infrastructure Improvement Program. Talk about Agricultural Cluster Development Project. Talk about NADS. Talk about NUSAF. All of those projects are now integrated under that Pillar 1. You get me? Now you go to, let's say, Pillar 3, which is about financial inclusion. We are looking at the other programs, the previous programs, PROFIRA, the Project for Financial Inclusion in Rural Areas. We are looking at the Rural Financial Scheme in Uganda and other programs that we are looking at supporting financial inclusion. They are all consolidated under that pillar of financial inclusion. So the beauty with the PDM, if you understand it very well, it's a very good and comprehensive model that once it is properly implemented, it really changes the lives of Ugandans. And it is very well streamlined to the National Development Plan 4, which is now focusing on employment, looking at the increased household incomes and others. So it's not that the other ones are not talked of, but they are all integrated in the PDM model.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarification.
Just to add on that, the challenge we are having, and we have mentioned it, community awareness is very important. Whenever you talk about PDM, people just think of one pillar, which is financial inclusion. They are not looking at other pillars. They just look at money. That is the third pillar among the 7 pillars. Thank you.
And if you don't look at the other pillars, it means that even when you get the money, you're going to squander it.
Very good, because you need to understand all the pillars such that when you get the money, it becomes a catalyst for you to go through the other pillars and move very fast.
Thank you so much. And we are coming to a close, but here is a comment from Bate Charles, who says, let me thank Honorable Byakatonda and Mr. Asiimwe for the wonderful insights. And he says, why don't we reduce on the registration monitoring of SACCO's procedures so that it's easy to form them? Very briefly, Mr. Asiimwe.
Yeah, very good question. But of course, it's a process, and together with the ministry, because we have already received this complaint, together with the Ministry of Trade and with the support of government, we are looking at how best we can have a single regulator and a single law for all circles, so that monitoring, supervision, and regulation of these circles is premised at one center using the same law. So the question is valid, because currently we have that legal challenge where we are where there is a situation, and now I want to request the Honorable Byakatonda, this is an issue of Parliament, that we have a legal lacuna whereby some circles need to go to Bank of Uganda, others need to go to UMRA, Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority, then with the amendment of the COP law, they need to go to the registrar. So we need one home.
Thank you.
Like in Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Honorable, what would be your parting remarks to Ugandans?
Wakabi, there is money in UDB, it's also doing that. Bank of Uganda on agricultural loans is also available. Then I want to encourage other people to look at bigger programs. For example, recently, there is a fund in the Post Bank, which is helping people about 50 acres, and they are doing such specific things. And then private microfinance, they should also look at that. But of course, on the issue of reducing on costs of forming circles,
yes,
it's a cost sharing at times, because most times when things are free, people also intend to abuse. But I think it's an area we can look at. That would call for appropriation of money to the cooperative sector to ensure that at least they can do it. But I think it's something we should analyze and see how workable it can be.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming through.
Welcome.
It's been such a pleasure having this conversation with you, Honorable. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And Mr. Asiimwe, thank you.
Thank
yes,
you. We wish all Ugandans a happy International
Labor Day.
Labor Day celebrations tomorrow.
Which is happening tomorrow in
Nakapiripirit.
Nakapiripirit.
We are all invited as workers.
All right, all of us are invited. I'll end with a comment from Tumwine James Francis, who says cooperatives would actually be a good policy for transforming people from subsistence to money economy, for instance, job creation. However, the challenge is that the spirit of integrity and accountability is not value chained by its stakeholders, so cooperative members deserve to have equal rights and benefits. However, we credit those who follow the policies as required. This is from James Tumwine in Chankwanzi. Thank you so much, James, and the others that have sent us feedback. We'll catch you again tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning. Good morning.